I believe. Well, it says it's setting it up, so we'll see.
Everywhere.
I don't see it.
Streamed everywhere. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay,
Yeah, but
we're
we
about
don't-
to start the Gilmore
We have no
Gang.
confirmation of that.
Anyone want to confirm?
I can see it on Twitter.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, I see it on Facebook now.
Okay.
Whoever's
let
doing
everybody
that,
figure
please.
it out.
Oh,
come
of
down
course. Yes. Tell me. Oh, I'll take care of it. No problem.
here. Executive producer Frank Radis will now enter the building.
That's what I want to talk about.
Ah.
That and how bad COVID is in New York.
Uh-oh.
Okay, guess what?
Don't freak Steve out. Okay. Here we go. We're going to pin Steve, and we've got places, everybody, and we're going to mute us off, and we are going to go in 3, 2, 1, and
Hi, Steve Gilmore here. This is the Gilmore Gang. Welcome to, and I'm going to give each of you about 0.5 milliseconds for the super.
No.
It'll be longer than that, but shorter than you like. In Palo Alto.
Keith is muted. Okay.
Oh, that's all right. I can go with that.
He's unmuted now.
In Palo Alto is Keith Tier. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I spent a lot of time in your company in the last couple of days.
Yes, it's been a lot of fun with random. Yes, it's been a lot of fun. Joining from the Pacific Coast is Steve Gilmore. Welcome, Steve.
That's you.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list here. In Atlanta, Georgia.
Shake
or
your
near-
hands.
Yeah, welcome to yourself. In near Atlanta, Georgia is, what is your name again? The fried Brent Leary. Brent's been on 7 shows already this morning.
It wasn't the 7 shows this morning. It was the tribute yesterday. That took a lot out of me.
Oh, you did that all yesterday?
Yeah.
I saw you
Jeez.
on that, Dennis. You were good.
I saw you on that, Steve. You
I
were
didn't-
good.
No, I didn't see me on that.
I did.
Oh, I was
So
looking.
it once
I was
again,
hoping
Brent's
that I wasn't on it, but the fabulous what's the name of your software? StreamYard.
Yeah, I crashed StreamYard yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
All the video tributes it couldn't take it all.
Wow.
Well, it was really emotional and incredibly deserving for Paul Greenberg, who is the actual replay up so that people can take a look at this?
Yeah, and if you check your email, you and Dennis, you will see a thank you email with links.
That is correct.
Speaking of Dennis, from the state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Dennis Pomerantz.
The Commonwealth of the mind, the Commonwealth of Transcendentalism. That would be me here, us.
Wow.
Transcendentalism that's the yogi. What's that guy? The Beatles.
Maharishi Yogi.
Exactly.
Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Yogi Berra.
No, this
I like
is,
Yogi
this
Berra
is-
better. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. This
You
is
would.
Emerson and Thoreau. Those guys, 19th
And Palmer.
century America.
Emerson, Thoreau, and Palmer.
And Palmer, what a great band. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I remember
nobody
their
could turn
album.
a double play like them.
And that album.
Thinkers that
blew
ever
me
the
away.
chance might argue with that, but
What? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Tinkers ever's the chance.
Oh, yes. The fabulous Bill Wamsgnass was involved in that triple play.
Really?
Yeah, Tinker's to Everest a Chance.
I know that.
Triple play.
Yeah.
Uh,
Poor
speaking
Keith
of
looks
Frank-
like what the hell are these guys talking about here?
Well, no. Who was the fourth guy?
Well,
Triple play. So
there was
I
no
say,
there was
what
no
did he-
fourth guy, but there's a guy named Bill, and I'm probably mispronouncing his last name.
Ah,
That was
okay.
somehow involved in this. Maybe he was
I-
the batter. I don't know.
Probably. Because I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, it's a triple play, third to second to first. Where's the fourth guy?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. He's on third. Put him.
All the
Okay.
action took place
Who's on
around.
third? What fun?
I think the guy coming from first was tagged at second. So I'm not sure that there was a two first.
And dear viewers, I'm as confused as you are.
Well,
Not if you're a baseball player.
let's talk about Manchester United. And we can
It's a bit of a
convene.
sticky wicket.
Yeah. Man, you.
I am actually blown away that Steve remembered the name of the team.
So did I say Frank Radis?
No. That's it. That was long enough for my super?
No, it will be now though.
But actually, Manchester United is a good COVID story because
Oh, here's my mute button. I just found it.
two games.
Last but
closed.
certainly not least, from the Pacific Northwest is Michael Markman.
How do you do? How do you do all? Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Doesn't that sound kind of communist? Isn't that a
Well,
socialist?
transcendentalism sounds communist.
Commonwealth is an imperialist word, not a communist word. Communist would be the People's Republic of.
Well, I know, but think of the
You mean what we're becoming?
wealth.
That's what we call Cambridge, the People's Republic of Cambridge.
There you
But-
go.
Yeah. pretty soon.
Generally, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, just like the Commonwealth of Virginia and I think Kentucky.
No, I mean, I
'Cause-
understand British usage. It means, oh, gee, we used to have an empire. But just take it literally. It does sound a little communistic.
Okay, well, enough of the
I would
politics.
beg to differ.
Let's go to the media, Frank.
First of all, Brent Lear, you are the James Brown of the industry. I mean, the hardest working man in show business. I've never gotten more notifications in one day as I got from you and
I'm
stuff that are.
sensing that this might not be a good thing.
No, absolutely
But-
not. Don't misread it. It's absolutely a good thing. I'm just giving you props, man. Anyway, I actually do have something I would like to chat with this august group about, and it's been bothering me ever since Chris Wallace left Fox and went to Chris Wallace left Fox and went to CNN Plus, and Casey Hunt went to CNN Plus, and I guarantee you're going to see Brian Williams pop up in the right places at the right time. And
But you were
It's,
saying TBS.
yeah, I don't think so. Not now. And I'll tell you what. None of that is what bothers me. It's interesting that they're willing to spend that kind of money for those kinds of people. That's pretty good. So it means they're sinking a lot into it. But I personally think that, and because they want to go for a younger demo, right, Michael? They're after but they want to try and reach the people that aren't getting their news on television. That's what the Plus is about for the news shows or the news divisions.
Yeah, good luck.
My
with
question. Well, my question is, yes, good luck with that, because what are they going to do other than rehash the way they do it already over there? What new things can they do? Is there an interactivity that they're not thinking about? I'm actually asking it as a question. What are the kinds of things? I mean, they're not going to they're going to have a news TikTok. I don't know, maybe, but if it's on your phone, is it a multi-screen thing? Is it part of the metaverse? What is it? I don't know, but it can't be what it has been. And honestly, the people that they're putting on the air that we know about are of the has been. But I don't know that the current group that are starting to come up, or even the ones we don't know about who are in the sort of already on the internet, but doing things in a younger way. I don't think they're ready for that kind of big push. I don't know. That's what's
Okay.
going on in my head. That's
All right,
period
so
the
that's
end.
politics and tech. Media. What else?
I think I'd like to know what's at the second tier of these acquisitions. Like I'd like to know where the producing talent is going and coming from. what's going into CNN for production that we haven't seen before, because those are the guys that ultimately shape the content and what gets delivered. And if you want to go after a younger demographic, I would think you'd want some younger, up and coming hip producers.
Well,
Can't
clearly
argue with that.
what they're going to have to do is it's like they're emptying vessel A and filling up vessel B, and they can't close vessel A down because it's got all these contracts. So instead of closing it down, going to keep it going, but it's going to be the B team. So CNN Plus is really CNN, and the existing CNN is really CNN minus. That's what's really happening. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
The net of it is that nothing's going to change. That everybody's going to, they're going to take the plus off of CNN, or they're going to wait until cable has completely collapsed, and it'll be a service. What's the acronym for it? MV.
It could be a free advertiser.
Yeah, exactly.
Television.
Exactly, and it's going to be the same thing.
Only but you sound like you sound like you're saying that it's a stepping stone. That more than it is, it's just a way to make sure that they're on the right platform.
Yes,
I don't think that's enough. I think that everybody knows they have to be on that platform anyway and are already making moves. Everybody's doing that.
I think the only technology that I think that they could go after the kids with is by buying TikTok. And they're not going to do that because it's too expensive already.
They don't need to buy TikTok, but I think Frank is onto something. As they conceive the service, it's got to be more than simply a scheduled service, the way cable is. It has to involve a lot of repurposing of their content, slicing and dicing it. They can have a channel on TikTok. They can have multiple channels on TikTok. They can use YouTube. They can use Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, anything. They're not limited to just a linear streaming service. And I would hope that they're thinking about that and designing it.
I bet you they
But
are.
actually what's happening is the TikTok has released to about 1,000 people a studio, which allows them to go and do Twitch a la streaming right from TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
I saw a number today about TikTok that said that it took 100 million. This was a British study. 100 million views of a TikTok for it to generate enough money for a person to be able to live for a year, an annual wage. Thought that was kind of interesting.
But it's also orthogonal to what we're talking about. Yeah,
just thought I'd throw it in.
Most of those analyses don't take into account brand deals and sponsored content. So there's a lot of income available to streamers that is not simply ad revenue or direct payment from the platform.
Yeah, I wonder how the news divisions will be able to deal with that. I think that'll throw a big monkey wrench in the world. I don't, but in terms of the available viewers and the data that they can get from it because it's online, it's going to be worth it right from the get-go. It's just going to be dependent on who does the best job with it. I don't think in this case it's just going to be because somebody was first in the space. I think they're first in the space with the goods, or hey, they were first. Nobody remembers America's Talking, but they sure know what came after it. It became Fox.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
There was a TV network that was run by the NBC that was called America's Talking, that was run by Roger Ailes, who eventually didn't get to do what he wanted to do and went off and created Fox.
It's like the Correspondents' Dinner. Look what that happened.
Exactly.
So what's interesting to me is I watch CNBC a lot because I'm interested they have this show in the morning called Tech.
Yeah, that's a great show.
Tech Check, I think it is.
Yeah.
And it's an hour every morning. And what is immediately before it is the market opening. And immediately after it, they have the kind of review of the markets. What's really interesting is CNBC is not threatened by anything, and it is not streamed. It's pure broadcast. You can't stream it. It's got the same types that CNN has got contractually, but it's successful because it's really good at news that no one else does. Whereas what CNN and MSNBC and Fox, they're basically all talking about the same news. It's all commoditized because it's the same news that's out there on the internet for free. So I think their problem is the news is not interesting. Not just the way they do it, but the topic, the subject matter is too generic and too commoditized to be interesting. So I predict the failure of CNN Plus.
You know, I think that if they could write, like if they could do, you know, be the New Yorker or the Atlantic, but be able to do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which they can't, they would succeed.
Probably, yeah.
But they can't. And why can't they? Who knows? Actually, maybe it's talent, it's writers, it's producers, it's money. I don't know.
See, I agree with a lot of what Keith just said, but I think if you're playing a longer game, you're realizing a couple of things. Number one, people get more conservative as they age, and number two, younger people may not be the greatest audience for television news. So I think there might be an element here where CNN and probably some other cable networks are trying to simply corral a big demographic and train it.
MTV News didn't work.
Yeah. Well, remember this too. You know, in order to sustain it, they need either subscriptions or advertising. And if they go into advertising, they're going to do programmatic advertising and be able to narrowcast ads to a known audience. So I presume they're building that into the platform as well as just hiring talent.
You know, they'll probably, I'm sure, make it a part of a package that they offer the advertisers right away at the next upfront. If they're not already doing it, you know, by this primetime position on the network and these cable channels, you know, pick and choose and support this digital channel. But I don't know what their model's going to be, whether it's going to be AVOD or SVOD. I'm sure it'll be both. Honestly, I think that's the way it's going.
I listen to a lot of TuneIn Radio, and they have a really good localized ad department. They are selling ad spaces for employment ads for local businesses that I hear in the Seattle area. And I'm sure that they have different ads playing in Chicago and in LA. So you can slice and dice these things geographically, demographically, and according to everything else that gets tracked.
Yeah, not only that, a lot of people are starting to get this new ATS or NTSC 3.0, so this new next gen television.
I don't think it's a tech story. I really don't.
No,
I think
you don't.
No, I don't. I think that the thing that I'm looking for is when I'm connected to a network and somebody starts selling the idea of fair and balanced, or ask the same question that they've asked for 3 days in a row, or that if I switch the channel, or if I send some sort of signal that I like all of this, but this I don't like, that gets recorded and is becomes a part of the advertising or long-range sponsorship model that funds that network. That's what I think, you know, the clue to that is what Michael was saying earlier about notifications. He didn't say it as notifications.
But you are you saying that you want to be, I'm just asking, I'm curious, that you want to be served only what you want to hear?
No, I it's what I don't want to hear that I want them to know.
I think that it seems to me that you're slicing that dime right in the middle.
Of course I am.
And I think that's part of the problem we're dealing with today, that we have an audience that lives in a different infosphere. So what you know, if you're a Fox News listener or viewer is completely different from what you know if you're a CNN viewer or an MSNBC viewer.
But the model I'm talking about takes that into account. I don't want to hear anything that is being put out on the Fox network except as research for what what could go wrong.
So this is
that's you. If you look at that across the whole population, you're just going to continue the siloing.
Well,
that's currently
maybe
You're
but I'm
right.
just
It
talking
is,
about
what about
the
the
economic
younger
model. I will pay for a network that that perceives and has some sort of direct line to what it is that I'm interested in. All of the research about personalization and advertising suggests that what people are looking for is personalized to their tastes. Whether
is
it's
that
a
what the
silo or
younger
not
demo?
is irrelevant to the buyer. The buyer is going to buy the thing that is most effective for optimizing their time.
That's not the
Do we-
buyer. That's the product. The buyer is the advertiser.
Yeah. Do we know what the people that are going to be consuming the product are going to be like? They're not us.
Well,
I
look,
mean, they
guys, listen to the numbers. This is the November viewing numbers for the news networks. Fox averaged something like 1.27 million a day.
that would have gotten a show canceled in 1985.
MSNBC is 600,000. If you look at specific shows, Carlson, 3.67 million viewers, 3.51 million Hannity, 3.23 million Special Report. These are tiny, tiny numbers. Hannity, 541,000. So, I'll put the link in the chat, but these are tiny numbers. So the fact is, most Americans don't live in any of these infospheres. Yeah. They live on their phone, and that's about it.
See, but you can monetize television numbers at a higher CPM than you can a digital number right now.
I agree.
By a lot.
That's that's the hidden secret. So if you look at CNN doing about 3 billion a year in revenue with those numbers on cable due to contracts where they get prepaid on a per subscriber basis. They don't even have to be a viewer. They're getting paid just to be run on the service, whether anyone watches them or not. So, and then the rest is ads. It's about 50-50. They claim they're going to get 100 million, minimum of 100 million, and perhaps the total addressable market of 280 million, they say, for CNN Plus. I call BS on that. I think their subscriber numbers are under 10 million.
I bet you you mean for CNN Plus?
Yeah, way under 10 million as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what they might be at right now. I don't even think they're on yet. Are they?
They haven't launched. No.
So maybe there's a beta channel of it somewhere. So I'm not sure that that's applicable, but I don't see other than Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or one of the big guys that have real numbers like that. Where is CNN Plus going to get that audience? I don't know. I don't know that that's even possible.
These are stunning, by the way. In prime time, Fox News averaged 2.5 million viewers total, not simultaneous, total. Wow. MSNBC 1.09 million total, down 59%. CNN 654,000, down 77%. In the 25 to 54 demo, Fox News averaged 420,000, down 49%.
I could get that many people by yelling out my office when I was on 30 Rock. I was like on the 18th floor. I could yell.
Most of those numbers are attributable to Trump's being off of social media and therefore not incentivizing the news networks.
Honestly, Steve,
let's do a thought experiment.
One second. The reality of those numbers is not a whole lot different than it was before. It was always difficult to break 1 million viewers on a cable show.
MSNBC led for the first time in history in that category when Trump was planning the January 6th event.
Even if they had 4 and 5 million viewers for a pop, for just a beat in the cycle of viewership for news programs, it always went back down to where it leveled out around.
Okay, let's do a thought experiment, which is it's 2024, and Trump wins. How's that going to affect the cable / subscription model?
Add COVID to that formula.
Well, COVID's going to be a constant endemic at that point. So what can I get any suggestions about what that means for the viability or lack of it of these news channels?
Everybody wins for a while.
Yeah,
I think it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant?
I think so. I think what I'm seeing, and I've spent exactly 0 years in the industry, but what I'm seeing is an attempt to reconstitute the 3 major broadcast networks of yesteryear. And for them, the news divisions were always loss leaders. They brought in eyeballs and pushed them out to their content programming and sold a lot of advertising that way. Why wouldn't that be something that these cable companies are trying to revert to?
That's very interesting, Dennis. There's something there about the fact that there's something going on right now with Disney trying to pull off of YouTube Plus because they're not able to make a deal. What that says is that the old-fashioned sort of land grabs that the networks had against their affiliates in order to give and take free stuff eventually became, you can't just get it for free. You've actually got to pay us to get it. Is now moved over to the digital side, and it's cable that's starting to pay the price. It's a very interesting movement.
They've got a hell of a lot of content that they can't monetize. It's an economic liability.
Who has?
Yeah.
Which day are you talking
When is a
about?
loss leader an economic liability?
When it fails to drive greater revenue.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't loss leaders sort of an oxymoron when it comes to a price?
Remember that when this started, the networks were using public airwaves, and part of the deal for getting a broadcast license was that you had to devote a certain amount of time to public interest programming.
Yeah,
that's a mystery.
The ridiculous.
And the origin of news was it was a necessity.
There's this ridiculous thing.
Frank, can you let Michael?
I'm sorry, Michael just made me excited. There's that ridiculous thing.
Okay, well, hold the excitement. Hold the excitement.
But this preceded the fairness doctrine. This was here's what you have to do to get a license. You have to devote some time to public interest broadcasting, and that was defined pretty broadly. It could be religious programming, it could be documentary program or news programming, and I think that was the origin of the networks starting news divisions.
Okay,
but look at the local news. Look at how many eyeballs are attracted to the weather report, and how that drives the evening's programming.
Mm.
It used to, but do you really keep your TV on after the weather report anymore?
Well, if it doesn't go down.
No.
Oh yeah.
They were a great band.
No, we get it on our phone now. We don't use TV for the weather.
Yeah, you'd have to say, okay, there's the weather. Now I'm going to stay here for the rerun of Friends. Because
No, I mean, they're practical information.
We are an aging demographic.
I can't
What
do
is
nothing.
the traffic on my commute? What is the weather?
2 people is hard to hear. 3 is impossible.
But it's fun.
There's a part of the news that is practical information, which is weather, traffic reports, and sports. If you were in betting, those are things you have to know. Everything else is kind of an option.
Traffic.
all those things now, people rely solely on the internet. On
Exactly.
the phones. They don't need TV for that for anything.
That's
And
right. You've got your smart speaker, and you've got voice commands to Google, voice commands to Siri. So it's on-demand delivery.
So
What is
that,
I
the
would-
smart
To
speaker
me- to
you're
me-
talking
And
about?
to me, it seems where the news streaming is going to want to go, or they should be wanting to go, if they do want to capture a younger generation who only knows their phone, who only knows the internet,
Correct.
is something like a combination of, let's say, Clubhouse. The way Clubhouse informs you that something that you like is happening right now. And that these
Who is that
news-
person talking?
and
I
that
don't
they-
see her.
Hey,
I don't either.
one person
Voice
at
of
a
reason.
time.
And she's somebody down there,
I
like
hear.
a photograph.
And-
You know,
And then also something like simultaneous live shows, maybe shows like ours. I don't mean ours, but like ours. You know, there's
Thank
a
you.
deep dive into some subject that's going on, and the streamer knows that you like that. You've already told them you like that subject, you like these speakers, and you're getting a notification that that's happening right now, and you're tuning in on your phone, maybe visually, maybe on audio. It doesn't really matter.
See, the filibuster will never be done.
Pardon, I would say the disappointing voice is onto something here, because another point of interest is people, and one of the features of a good news network is interviewing great guests, booking great guests, finding great guests. So you know, that's one of the secrets of what makes Kara Swisher so interesting, is she talks to people you'd like to hear from.
Kara Swisher is the thought leader of the real smart speaker.
She's crushing it.
Yeah, as opposed to the dumb speaker, which is everybody else.
the interesting thing with Apple TV and what they did with Letterman and with Oprah is that they understood what Michael just said. If you look at the interviews that Letterman did, and they were really nicely filmed and staged. It wasn't news. It was almost like a series was being released.
What, the new show? And I watched one of them.
No, we watch more than that.
Yeah, but you know,
No, they were good.
it's
They
a
were good.
ratings failure.
No, but what I'm
Sorry.
saying, but what I'm saying is the concept of a loss leader only makes sense if there's a bundle that you want. So, you know, CNN, Time Warner could put CNN. Who owns CNN these days? Is it AT&T? Oh, yeah, they own Time Warner.
It's Warner Media owns it.
And
Which
so-
means David Zasloff will eventually run it.
So if they were really using it as a loss leader, they'd bundle it in with their premium, you know, $5 to $10 a month streaming service. Same with CNBC would be bundled in with Peacock.
Yeah.
You know, and
Maybe.
No,
but-
you know, that's
Peacock, I'm not sure.
you're exactly right, Keith. It's you know, the individual mega companies which own all of those smaller brands, as big as those smaller brands are, they're always smaller than their mega owner, will put together their own version of YouTube TV. And that's why you're starting to see companies starting to pull their stuff from YouTube TV. If they can't make a deal, probably no more than 3 years, which is by the time everything will have hashed out. If they can't make a deal and make the money they want, they'll pull. And if Disney pulls, YouTube TV drops $15 a month.
Well, so that's what I would call the death of the aggregator. I think YouTube TV is going to die. I think Roku is going to die. I think Amazon, what will survive is Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Disney Plus, Peacock will survive. But these will be direct from the owner to you via some kind of a box or your TV. And the aggregator in the middle will, why do you even need them?
The YouTube TV would only die if Comcast does what it's doing, which is allowing you to basically rewind without having to record in advance. I mean, look, I'm paying for it. I'm paying $70 a month in order to see what that feels like on YouTube TV. And then yesterday, I went to Comcast and had missed something at the beginning of one of those shows. And you don't even push a button. You speak into the speaker.
Yeah.
And you say restart. and I hope it doesn't restart right now.
By the way, you can restart a YouTube TV show that's currently on as well.
Of course. What I'm saying is the interesting part of YouTube TV was this use of essentially abandoning appointment television in favor of a notification environment, and Comcast is sucking that in to their larger thing. So
another reason
I think
I don't think
to Dennis, let me try and distribute this a little bit, Frank. To Dennis's point, the sort of convergence around the three major networks, I think that what Keith is talking about and you, Frank, are talking about sort of resonates in that model. A couple of years from now, we're going to see bundles basically reform into something that is, well, you tell me, what is it, Frank?
I think that's where YouTube TV can live, and that is that it's the distributor of all of the bundles. So, that eventually, essentially, just like you can do on a Mac and draw different apps together that all do sort of the same thing into one folder that has a name that says travel or Law and Order or whatever, that YouTube TV takes all of those giant companies and does their individual apps. And they're all going to end up, I think, doing those individual apps. They're all going to become part of, and then there's going to be a fight amongst people who want to be a part of a certain bigger app, or whatever they call them back, if it's a skill, which is those unknown voice things, or if it's an app.
It feels to me as if YouTube TV's going to retreat back to just having the local channels. Local channels, there's no really good way to get them, especially if you leave cable behind. You need an aggregator for the local channels. But for the premium channels, HBO, Showtime, all the Disney stuff, live sports, blah, blah, I think that goes inside, NBC just paid $2 billion to the English Premier League for the next, I think it's 6 seasons of games. CBS is paid for the Champions League rights to UEFA, the European guys. Somebody's got the World Cup, someone's got the Olympics. I think all those sports go behind paywalls for subscriptions you've got to pay for, like Peacock or NBCSN, you got to pay for as well. And I think Comcast, all the cable companies, and the digital versions of the cable companies, which is really what YouTube TV is, they're left with local channels. That's about it.
Comcast is a broadband company now. It's not a cable company.
Yeah. Same with AT&T. I've got AT&T fiber here at home. I just, by the way, I just persuaded them to reduce my price of a gigabit from $90 a month to $70 a month because SonicNet's competing with them. And they tried to upsell me on streaming and mobile. And I said, no, I'm happy with T-Mobile and I've got YouTube TV. They didn't even try to upsell me. It's like in the old days, they would have kept you on the phone for an hour trying to upsell you. They just gave up within 1 minute and lowered my price to keep me.
Wow.
I think you also need to ask yourself what Joe Sixpack is going to be buying. Joe Sixpack has a limited budget for entertainment for almost anything. And, we've been talking like the sky's the limit, and it's not.
Yeah, no, it's going to be sports. You'll buy where the sports is. In fact, Sky in the UK figured this out years ago when they bought all the sports rights for their satellite service. And literally every home in the UK got a satellite dish on the roof within about 3 years. And broadcast TV in the UK now has retreated to BBC iPlayer and all these streaming things that live inside Sky's world as well.
Let me ask Brent a question. You know how the sports, the individual teams manage communities that basically take season passes and then negotiate them out on a week by week basis. What do you think about that happening on digital for the sports relationships?
Yeah, I've been talking about this, I think, for years at this point. Thanks for kind of bringing this up. So, I mean, I'm a huge, I know this might be shocking, but I'm a huge Rams fan. And so, but I don't live anywhere near LA. I've never lived anywhere near where the Rams were. But I buy a lot of Ram stuff. I mean, a lot of Ram stuff, but I don't buy it directly from the Rams. And so I don't know if the Rams know just how big a fan and how much money I spend on them, because I'm not buying season tickets and I don't have a direct relationship with them. And so one of the things I've been talking about, for the last year or so is why is the sports model so still built on ticket sales to games and buying stuff when you're at the stadium, where I would pay a monthly subscription fee to have access to Rams video history. I would I would like pay a pretty significant amount of money on all sorts of things that have absolutely nothing to do with me going to a game, but could be really good revenue, because let's face it, there are a lot of people like me that don't live near where their team is. And I'm just talking about one team and one sports league, but would be head over heels to pay for stuff that gets me access to certain kinds of content. I mean, look at the Red Sox. I usually don't, but they have a huge national and probably worldwide footprint of people who could not possibly go to a game. But
It's called Red Sox Nation.
Yeah, whatever. But those are the folks that would
in the Commonwealth.
Okay. But they're the kind of people that would love to, buy something like more content that's focused directly on the team, and would be willing to pay a premium even if they can't go to the game, maybe because they can't go to the game because they don't live near them.
Okay, so is that going to
You have
happen?
to look at the tax laws, Brent.
Is that going to happen, Keith? What Brent's talking about?
I think it is. It's starting to happen. MUTV is the hub of Manchester United, and it's you can buy a subscription on your Apple TV or your Roku or your Apple Fire, Amazon Fire, and you get a live channel 24/7. There's a store built in, so you can buy shirts and paraphernalia from the store. All of the junior teams, the under 23, under 18, the women's team, you can watch the live games on it. Not the senior team, but you can watch the live games a day after they happened, and you can see old recordings. So the Manchester United has its own media empire with $6 a month subscriptions, and it has 600 to 700 million fans worldwide, close to 1 billion fans worldwide to sell that to. And I don't know, my small hometown team, Scarborough, has a YouTube channel. I can, 1,000 people go and watch the games. I can buy shirts. I can watch the games. I can listen to radio commentary on the games. And this is a tiny, small hometown team. So what's happening is media is becoming focused on interest. And you will spend a lot of time on stuff that interests you and much less time on generic stuff. And I think so, I bet you Brent doesn't watch NFL stuff all day, but he'll watch Rams stuff till the cows come home.
Frank, what do you think?
I watch a lot of NFL too.
Less.
Well, I think that we're sort of already there, but everyone hasn't jumped onto the bandwagon yet. But I'm saying it's exactly what Keith's saying. I know what's going on. Most of Liverpool has pretty much the same thing. Most of the big UK football teams are media empires. It's part of what they're doing. And I don't know about what's going on in America, but I imagine that if they take this sort of model, which I can't think if they're not doing, everybody knows that's the direction they've got to go in. I just don't know. Because I'm hearing it from you, Brent, for the first time. But they have to do what Keith's talking about, and I think that's coming.
The key is the line between the league and the team. where the league is super powerful and dominant and owns all the rights, the teams get to do less. Where the line between the league and the teams is better in terms of the team's favor, the teams do better. So like the extreme is Barcelona sell their own TV rights. Now that distorts the whole league because they get way more money than every other team. So they usually win all the time, and except recently. So there needs to be a league. There needs to be collective bargaining at the league level. But then once you get moved from broadcast to streaming, that collective bargaining actually gets in the way. And teams would do way better, and the fans would love it much more if they could negotiate directly with the team, not the league. And so it's an interesting moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I just do a little housekeeping, and then to Michael. We've got two people who have to leave at the top of the hour, Dennis and Brent. So, Michael, the floor is yours.
I was going to say, in terms of merchandising in the US, the leagues manage a store with separate pages for each of the teams. So if you go to look for Rams gear, you will get it through the NFL store, and they're marketing directly to individual fans. But they're also distributing. They're also distributing through retail, bricks and mortar, and they're also distributing through Amazon. So they're finding any way that they can reach those customers. In terms of rights to the games, they aren't, as far as I can tell, selling direct to the viewers yet.
No.
They're packaging up aggregators like ESPN or the broadcast networks or Amazon. So I don't know if they're ever going to get to the point where they will manage direct to subscriber distribution of their games.
It would be a revolution if that happened. So it's not going to happen anytime soon because you'd have to break up the structure.
And every league has a different relationship with, the teams and with the players' unions. And I can see this going right down to the players, because why wouldn't a player want to do his own, show to talk about what's going on with him and what he's seeing, and being able to get their own sponsors and merchandise deals. It's a big mess. I don't know
unless you are selling a subscription to your practice and your scrimmage, your games involve some other team. So
the way it happened.
Okay, hang on a second. We're dealing with a real time crunch here. Dennis, can you tell me real quick what you think is going to happen in terms of forget Build Better Back. What's going to happen with voting rights? Is that anything going to happen? And if so, and if not, why not?
I don't expect voting rights to pass this year. I think it could be highly contentious next year, and it may be something that they argue about until about mid-year, and then ultimately pass a half-loaf kind of solution so that the Republicans don't get absolutely crushed at the ballot box, but it won't be enough.
But, isn't the real game here to keep Manchin in the Democratic Party?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think, it's sort of a Hobson's choice. What's better, the Democratic Party with Manchin or without him?
Frank, what do you think? Better with or without?
I right now I would say better without, but I don't think it matters in the end. It's just that I'm just so angry at everything that he does, and I feel so bad for the people of West Virginia who can't possibly be really supporting this guy. I have relatives in West Virginia; they don't support him anyway.
No. I mean, what's he doing for them? What's Kristen Sinema doing for her people in Arizona? It's a situation where these guys are completely rogue. They don't do what they say they stood for when they stood for election, and so you've got this ridiculous stasis in the Senate.
Michael, what do you think?
I don't know. So I'll take a couple of the questions. Are the Democrats better with Manchin or without? At the moment, they're better with him, and he's better with the Democrats. He has a huge amount of leverage. He is the star of every show, every day, every hour. what I've seen this morning is that Democratic Senate candidates for 2022 are now using reform the filibuster as their campaign platform. So if it's possible for the Democrats to increase their majority, then the Mansion Cinema soap opera disappears. You route around them. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's clearly the long-term game. In the short term, I don't know if there's enough pressure to get them to cave. They're certainly ratcheting that pressure up as much as they have.
Keith, what do you think?
To be honest, I don't feel able to have a point of view. 'Cause
I know you're not from this country, but could
no,
you?
but also I have been distracted from politics. I haven't been watching, so I haven't got my finger on the pulse of what's happening, other than
Well, which is better,
nothing. Other
having
than nothing.
Manchin, which is better, having Manchin in the party so that they have a chance at a tiebreaker vote by the vice president, or losing him or Cinema or both and becoming a minority party again?
I would go for an even smaller minority party and rebuild it as a meaningful contribution to American politics, which it currently isn't. It's irrelevant right now, the Democratic Party. It can't do anything.
Dennis?
He's right. Keith is absolutely right. You got to build back. If you're going to build back better, you got to start with the core.
Okay, well, I'm gonna toss my 2 cents in here, which is I think that going for the voting rights amendment to the filibuster is the key to any progress. And I think it will, as I think Dennis believes, it will fail, but in the process, it will open the possibility of, in the midterms, an additional senator, which, regardless of what happens in the House, will be the only way out of this Manchin deal. Brent, we've got 7 minutes. Anything you want to talk about this or anything else?
Oh, wow.
Well, you've been resting long enough.
I don't know. This whole, it's not just Manchin though. Isn't it that Cinema person too that seems to like going against her whole tribe there and causing consternation? I think the problem with the the Democrats is that even if they do certain things, and the first year of Biden, I mean, they've gotten some significant stuff done. It just doesn't feel like they've done anything, or it feels like, and maybe that's just kind of the way the story is being told and rolled out, but it just literally feels like they can't get anything done. They're bickering or whatever. It's always, you hear the same names as being the ones that are holding up things, and it just creates a pretty, not pretty picture for Biden. And I think that may be even if they get certain things done, it just feels like they're not really getting it done, or they're not doing it the way it should be. And that causes, I don't know, it causes like a negative perception. And I think that could potentially hurt them next year, unless they really turn this around.
There is a built-in problem to all this. Any accomplishment has a very short half-life. So it's celebrated for a week, 2 weeks, and then it fades into the background. News is never about what the Democrats passed last February, what the Democrats passed last April. News is inevitably about what the Democrats are not passing today until they get something passed. And that'll last for another 2 weeks. So that's a constant challenge. But Biden's numbers, which tanked, seem to be coming up again, based on the fact that the House passed Build Back Better. The soap opera on the daily news is it hasn't happened yet. So that's what you're feeling. That's what you're hearing. That's what's
the inflation took over from the jobs. All of a sudden the
inflation takes over, and then the COVID resurgence takes over. So bad news is the thing that you hear all the time. You don't hear good news.
Okay, Dennis, 2 minutes.
I've found an anomaly in Siri on my iPhone that I don't have time to talk about now. I hope we can talk about it when we get back together next time.
Anomaly. Oh, I'm
That's a big
twinging.
Are the Romulans involved?
Oh my God. Or is it a Cardassian thing? It's a Cardassian thing.
It's just bizarre. I wish I had time to go into it, but are we doing a show next week?
I can't wait till next week. What are you talking about?
That's a great,
Okay.
great tease.
Okay, here I've got like 3 minutes, so I'm gonna play two things for you. The first one is just an example. The second one is the problem. All right.
Okay.
Hey Siri, what is bronze? Hey Siri, what is bronze?
Bronze is an alloy consisting primarily of copper, commonly with about 12 to 12.5% tin, and often with the addition of other metals and sometimes non-metals or metalloids such as arsenic, phosphorus, or silicon. Shall I continue?
No. Now that's right. You got that? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Siri, what is pewter?
I am at your service, Lego Batman, sir.
I didn't hear the words. What did you say?
I am at your service, Lego Batman, sir. So my youngest kid used to do this to me. They can change your name on your phone and Siri calls you that name. No,
Well, so
I
pewter-
just,
I wonder,
listen,
I wonder if she hears pewter as apostrophe P-U-T.
yeah, but
Yes.
she's got an Australian or a New Zealand or a South African accent, for God's
That's
sake.
what I set up. I set that up. I set that up. But
So
it-
what's the crisis? Can you explain that in your 1 minute?
it's pewter. Apparently, I found this out this morning. Siri was used in some movie a while ago, in which the main character referred to her as pewter. Hey, pewter, and I guess it was a Batman movie, and it's still in the app.
Ah,
Is pewter short for computer or something?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I said, apostrophe P-U-T-E-R.
now what you've also stumbled across there, Dennis.
Hey
is-
Siri, what's pewter?
Welcome home, sir. I have your romcoms queued up, sorted by decade.
It's Batman stuff.
So listen.
So,
What you've
Ask her-
stumbled
ask her-
across is that Siri sits on top of a handcrafted database and there's absolutely zero intelligence in it.
Wow,
And
Right.
and the database entries have not been changed.
that's bad.
Okay, well, luckily now we don't have to do that next week.
I'm going to do it every day.
That's so bad.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
well,
happy that
Hey,
they-
I was
Siri,
hoping,
open pod bay doors.
yes, I'm sorry, Dave.
Dave's not home.
Here,
Sorry,
here.
I'm sorry.
Dave's
Open the
not
door. I
here.
got the stuff.
So
Dave's not here.
There's a reboot of with Chong, I think it is. No, Cheech.
I really have to go.
And the short
It's
guy.
great to
Bye.
see you guys.
Bye, Dennis.
Happy
Happy New
holidays.
Year.
Happy.
Bye, Dennis.
Schmegren.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank
Thanks. All right, so Frank,
Yes.
well, you had several themes that you wanted to.
I'm
discuss.
actually
Keep in mind.
sorry. I was very interested in everyone's involvement in that conversation. I didn't expect it to be the whole show, and I'm sorry that happened. On the one hand, on the other hand, it's really this is what I'm thinking about. And I got to go do a big panel on this, and this is all very helpful. But I'll tell you the one thing that I do have left over that bothers the hell out of me. It's Eric Clapton. I love Eric Clapton as a guitar player. I actually thought Eric Clapton was a humane, empathetic individual, always quiet between times that he played, that all of a sudden he went all anti-vax and maskless at his concerts and blah, blah, blah. So immediately I'm not very happy with him. So now some woman has a 1980s concert CD that she bought, by the way, at apparently a store in London, that she's trying to sell on eBay. He sued her, won for $3,145, some bullshit like that. Now, look, I get the whole rights thing. I get the idea of making the point and all of that. But for God's sakes, it's Eric Clapton. I do not like this guy anymore. I do like his guitar playing. That's not going to change. But I'm not very happy with Eric Clapton.
What was he suing her for? I mean, what's the
because
deal?
she sold a piece of copyrighted material.
That she
There you go.
She videoed one of his concerts herself, probably.
You know, according to the story that I read, which by the way will be posted tomorrow in the Radis files in case any of you read it. The story that I read
What's
was
the address of the Radis files?
T.me.
No,
Don't ask me. I have no idea. I have to look it up. Anyway, it's just the Radis files on review, blah, blah. I don't know what I was about to say. It just pissed me off. I was so excited about this. I don't think she videoed it. According to the story, she bought it in a store, like a record store or something.
I understand it. It's a little bit like finding out that John Lennon was a bad guy. It would be devastating.
I'm very upset. I'm just upset. He's not, to me, not only is he stupid, but he's mean. So there you go.
Okay.
Hey, I got nothing else.
So
Eric,
one thing I was going to say is
Eric.
there was an election in the UK yesterday when somebody resigned their seat in a agricultural area called North Shropshire, and the Conservatives, Boris's party, have held this seat apparently for 200 years, and they had a 23,000 vote majority at the last election, and they lost in a landslide. The Liberal Democrats won, the Conservatives came second, and Labour only got 3,000 votes.
They're not happy.
What does that tell you?
Boris.
What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you a few things. Number one is the incumbent party in the middle of COVID that can't really seem to get much done is toast, no matter who they are. So there's an incumbent party in a bad time problem. The second thing it tells you is that Boris himself, the sheen has worn off his personality, which used to have the ability to, get over these things.
His sheen wore off his sheen, Keith.
And the third thing it tells you is that it's a one-off, because no one would ever believe the Liberal Democrats could become a governing party. So that it's a protest vote more than it is something that would happen in a general election.
But the Lib Dems
still can't get its stuff together.
What?
Fourth, it tells you that Labor still can't get its stuff together.
Yeah.
Even when the Tories are completely unpopular and hated.
Yep.
But the Lib Dems seem to be they're pretty well accepted in local communities.
And
But it's interesting that they have some people desire them to run their local communities, but don't seem to desire them to run their government.
Because it's Nick Clegg, who's now with Facebook and was in David Cameron and him were in a joint leadership thing for all those years. The Lib Dems basically don't seem to stand for anything. The big debate about capital and labor, the Lib Dems are like, So they don't really seem to be on a side, and the center is only the center if it stands for something. They don't stand for anything. The nearest thing was they were pro-Euro. That could have been a thing, but that it became a single issue rather than defining. So I just don't think they've got anything about them that could ever. I think it's capital and labor are the two sides, and there's a standoff.
There you go, Steve. You got it?
Yeah, kind of. I'm still trying to understand how we apply that to anything that's actually interesting.
I wonder if it says something about American politics.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
And possibly if it's not so much, Keith, you're saying that it's the party that's in power and that people aren't happy with them, or are people not happy with the conservative power? And might that say something for, what's
Yeah.
going on there.
Well, I think you can't draw that last conclusion, because if that was true, they would have voted Labour, because they would have actually wanted to change the government. Voting Liberal Democrat in the UK context is a bit like voting for a third party in the US. It's imagine if a third party won a governorship, you wouldn't think it had any significance for the general election, other than a protest vote. So yeah, it's a warning sign.
But what Frank brought up was the idea that this might be a signal regarding local. And if we see what happens politically, and this is directed toward Michael, if we see what happens at the state legislature level and how that's dominating our politics in a certain way that we apparently the Democrats don't have any understanding of, is there a connection between?
I don't know if it's that the Democrats don't understand it. It's that gerrymandering creates a huge moat around Republican control in the states where they have control. That's why you have to go to the voting rights bills, because once you set things up so that your party can't lose, guess what? Your party can't lose. And the Democrats understand that. They just don't have anything to do that they can do to fight it.
Well, there was somebody on the news yesterday, I think it's probably common, talking about how this country is now being divided up into vaccinated and unvaccinated. Is there some political power there?
Well, that's related, because the same party, the Republicans are the party of don't get vaccinated. It's astonishing that the Republicans have decided there is a political advantage to fighting public health measures. Don't wear a mask, don't get vaccinated. It's infuriating.
I think if the Republicans were in power now, if they'd won the election, they'd be suffering what Boris suffered yesterday. The Democrats you can't really equate to Boris because they're so different animals in terms of what they stand for. So I don't think that Biden is going to get the Boris treatment anywhere, but I do think that he's going to have the incumbent government problem. It's just a slightly different characterization of how that problem manifests itself.
I wanted to make just one statement about, I was viewing Biden on TV going to Kentucky to see the ravages of that awful tornado that tornado outbreak, and I started to remember Trump and just how awful he was with human beings facing tragedy or life-changing problems. And I got a tear in my eye. Seeing Biden being able to hug someone and think about them and hold them. I don't know. To me, it means a lot. And the thought, even for a second, that Trump could come back and we would revert back to, I just think, inhumane times with our government is unthinkable to me.
Okay, snap poll. Is Biden going to run again? And second snap poll, is Trump going to win?
Which one first?
Pick your one. And
is Biden going to run again? I'm a no.
Michael?
I don't know. It depends on his health. It's hard to say. I think he will run if he's in good shape. I think he won't run if he's at all worried about it.
But it's a political calculation. Do you think he's going to run?
As a political calculation?
Mm-hmm.
I think the answer to that depends on the outcome of 2022 midterms.
Okay. Frank?
That's the one question that you answered there. Is Trump going to win? I'm not going to answer because the possible outcome is too hard for me to take. The question as to whether or not Biden will run again, I'm totally in Michael's camp. If he's healthy, he'll run.
I understand, but
I think
80 years old.
Look,
health is always an issue, but it is
Yeah.
not the question. The question is he going to run again?
okay. Yes, he's going to run again, and he'll beat Trump because by then they'll have gotten their marketing shit together, and people will know what Biden did.
Okay.
The other question is, if he runs, will Harris be on the ticket?
My no answer was determining that he won't be in good health. Therefore, I don't think he'll run again. That was why I said no.
Well, I think he will run again. I think he's looking healthier at the moment than he did when he won. So, Tina's concern about the possibility, I think he's probably the best candidate to beat Trump again. He can basically say, you didn't go for him last time. Why would you do it now? Now that he's, under arrest.
All right, but you have to, the answer to will Trump win depends largely on how much of a fix the Republicans could put into the game and whether voting rights gets passed. Because the coup that Trump came within a hairbreadth of pulling off last time is being greased for him. All of the bridges to run that coup again successfully are being put in place, and unless the Democrats can pull that back with voting rights and voting protection legislation,
I think that people I think people politically are going to be sold the following proposition, which is if we don't have a Democrat in the White House, we have no veto power over what you're talking about, Michael. I think that's the fundamental rationale of that election. It's divorced from what happens in the House and the Senate.
But it doesn't work that way. I mean, the mechanics of the Trump coup involved having what they call a contingent election, which is to say the electoral votes are not enough to get someone elected, so it goes to the House. If it goes to the House, it's one vote per state. And if the Republicans, even if they have a minority in the House, if they have a majority of states, they can determine who the next president is. That was the plan. That was the plan. That was why it was important to get Pence to say, no, we can't approve these electors, so that they could delay it and eventually throw it into the House. That was stopped because Pence didn't play his part. But next time.
I have one more snap poll. Will Trump be charged with or convicted of a crime, federal or otherwise, before the midterms?
No.
Yes.
I think so too.
I think I'm a no as well.
That's charged. Convicted, I don't know.
Charged, even charged. I think charged could change an election. So I'll go for charged.
Okay, double no.
I'm a no, and if the answer was yes, I wouldn't think it would change the election in the Democrats' favor either. I would think it would go I think it'd go the other way.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know what that means.
I'm a no on that one too.
Okay.
I think the case that the 1-6 committee is putting together is going to be so damning that there will be no choice for the Justice Department but to take their criminal referral, and run with it.
The attack on that, it would be by the Republicans would be that this is this is a coup in reverse, basically.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll say that, but this,
so I don't think it'll work.
This happens to be a unique situation. This is not a case where, well, whoever gets in is going to charge the guy that came before. This is a crime that's unprecedented, unparalleled in our history. And the case that the 1-6 committee is putting together will make that very, very clear. The Republicans will try and spin it that way. They'll get nowhere except for the Fox News audience. It doesn't matter what they say.
Michael, I would say in general, establishments in the plural, even when they're massively divided as they are, rarely call each other to account for what they did before, because if they do, it opens up what might happen in the future, and they create a precedent for kind of interscene warfare. So I think that even Democrats in the establishment don't want to hold Trump accountable properly.
I don't agree with that.
I think that they're very reluctant to, but I think they will have no choice. I don't know if you've been following what Lawrence Tribe has been writing lately about this. He's been saying, look, this is a point where the Justice Department shouldn't even wait for the 1/6 committee. They need to open up this investigation now, because there has never, ever been a case where someone tried to overturn an election to stay in power. We've never had that. And if you let that go, that's an even worse precedent than trying to put your predecessor behind bars.
It's true, but your what you just described earlier, the process he was trying to do, is it correct that if he pulled that off, it would have been constitutional?
Yes.
You see, so therefore, the problem isn't crime, the problem is loopholes.
That's true. The loopholes need to be closed. That's what, that's up to the Democrats. The Republicans are not going to close those loopholes.
So,
Right now
Michael,
we're back to now we're back to relying on the voting rights passing, which I think is I'd put that at 12% at best.
So let me ask Michael, do you know if he is charged with a felony, is that enough to keep him from running for office again? Because I think running for office again is a really important place for the Democrats to be aiming.
So if he's charged with a felony, I don't believe that's disqualifying. However, some of the potential felonies he might be charged with can be disqualifying. So that if you're convicted of insurrection, you are disqualified from holding office in the future. So the New York case, which involves valuations for his properties, saying that they're high for one purpose but low for another purpose, I don't think that's disqualifying.
So I don't think that it's beyond the realm of possibility for him to be charged with a crime, be convicted of a felony, not go to jail, but be stopped from running again.
Well, but that wouldn't stop him from being running.
No, if he was convicted of certain felonies, he would automatically be in a position not to be able to run again, I believe.
Well, I don't think that's true.
But
in an impeachment, a conviction in an impeachment would allow for him being not allowed to run again. I think you're. I mean, I don't know the answer, but my bet is
the answer is that there's also disqualification if he's convicted of insurrection.
So,
but listen. Before you go there, I don't believe that what I would call a technical knockout really addresses the gravity of the problem, which is the ideological makeup of the United States population. And so you can do a technical knockout on Trump, but look at all the other bad actors in the Republican
They're going to run anyway, though, Keith. You're still going to get a guy like DeSantis running for office. You're still going to have
those guys are midgets compared to Trump. Come on.
That's true, but my whole point is that he could be convicted of something that would keep him from running again and still not go to jail for it. I'm saying deal could be made, and. It's just hypothetical, I know, but
I think the only way that he doesn't run again is because he doesn't run again, not because he's going to get forced into a situation. The lack of social attention that he has suffered for the last year is going to get only bigger as we get closer to 2024. I don't think he's going to run.
I have a snap poll.
Go
My
ahead.
snap poll is: will Trump's new digital Twitter version of Twitter work?
Oh, he's going to cash the check first, and so it will never exist.
Yeah, define work. It will work as a grift. Absolutely. It's already working as a grift.
Okay. Yeah. Other
So
than the fact that it
the
works as a
The issue
grift.
we're talking about, just to close it up, is in the 14th Amendment, Section 3, which says that if you have supported, have engaged in insurrection or rebellion, or given aid or comfort to the enemies of the country, you're disqualified from holding office. A 2/3 vote of both houses can remove that disability.
Good luck on that.
No,
So
look,
there are things he could be convicted of that will disqualify him from holding office.
but in the real
In the
world,
real world, however,
what we're facing is that the Democrats are going to lose possibly both houses in the midterms, that the Republicans are going to have either him or someone else as a candidate at the general election, and that Biden needs to do something to galvanize the nation, not the Democratic Party alone, the nation, to feel good about what he's bringing to the party before any of that happens.
If the Republicans win the midterms and the January 6th commission isn't finished, what happens?
it's shut down.
The January 6th commission has all of its evidence to turn over to the Justice Department. The Justice Department has 2 years to act on that. The 1/6 commission will be shut down. But remember, between election day, when we find out that they're going to be shut down, and when they take office, there's a month and a half for them to get things done and get the Justice Department cooking.
Well, there you go. There's a bunch of scenarios there.
Okay.
But let me say this too: the main work of the 1/6 commission will be completed long before the election. The main work is going to be the TV show that they put on in the coming
and
months.
the one that they're putting on right now with releasing selectively these texts.
That's just the teaser.
But it's hugely. I mean, what's her name is going to come out of what?
Cheney.
Yeah. Cheney is going to come out of this as the most powerful political figure in this country.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah. And we have to wrap it up according to our own Liz Cheney right here.
Oh,
nice job, Liz.
Yeah.
All right. I want to thank, what's that guy's name? Brent Leary and the other guy, Dennis Pombriant, for their fine service. If it turns out that we can do another show this year, then disregard what I'm about to say, which is thanks to all of you guys, Frank Radis, safe travels back to whatever that place is,
Blighty.
The former empire.
Yeah,
And
I'm leaving. I'm going back on Thursday, so
excellent.
I'll be home just in time for Christmas Eve.
Thanks to Michael Markman.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates it.
Happy Festivus.
To whatever religious or non-religious service that we subscribe to. And Keith's here. Thank you.
I'm very happy to have been here. And I am not religious, but I still celebrate Christmas. I even get a tree. I even sometimes tell a Christmas story from the Bible because my in-laws require it.
Thanks to our producer and director, Tina Chase Gilmore.
Thank you. I love this show. Not so much being called Liz Cheney, but then again, she has I feel a high ethical standard that she is displaying these days, and that's amazing.
There's going to be some political power there.
I'll take it.
It's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger and bigger. I don't appreciate much of her stand in terms of issues, but in terms of
Ethics.
Truth, justice, and the American way,
Yeah.
she's the best. did I say thank you to everybody who showed up and especially those who didn't? Well, I just did. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Next time, not from New York.